What if the secret to men will start treating you like a queen begins with embracing your intrinsic worth? By valuing yourself, setting boundaries, and radiating confidence, you teach others to respect and cherish you, aligning relationships with the dignity you deserve. Knowing your worth is one of the most transformative realizations a person can have. True self-worth is not something that can be granted by external factors such as your appearance, achievements, or even the opinions of others. It is an intrinsic quality, an unshakable belief that stems from within and does not waver with the highs and lows of life. To know your worth is to embrace the understanding that your value is not contingent upon what you do, how successful you are, or how others perceive you. It is a state of being, rooted in your existence and humanity. Many people fall into the trap of tying their sense of worth to external validation, seeking affirmation from others as a way to feel valuable. For instance, a woman might measure her self-esteem by the compliments she receives on her appearance or the recognition she gets at work. While such validation can feel rewarding in the short term, it is ultimately fleeting and fragile. When the compliments stop or when professional accolades diminish, the sense of worth tied to those things disappears, leaving behind insecurity and doubt. This is why relying on external validation is like building a house on sand. It is unstable, impermanent, and easily washed away by life's challenges. A powerful example of this can be seen in social media culture. People often post curated images and achievements, hoping for likes and comments to affirm their value. However, studies have shown that an over-reliance on social media for validation is linked to feelings of loneliness, anxiety, and inadequacy. This demonstrates the dangers of basing self-worth on external sources, which are often unpredictable and unreliable. As psychologist Nathaniel Branden once said, "No one is coming to save you. You must be your own hero." This quote underscores the idea that true self-worth must come from within, not from the praise or approval of others. To illustrate further, consider the story of Sarah, a talented artist who consistently sought validation from her peers. She would anxiously wait for their feedback on her work, and when it was positive, she felt on top of the world. However, on days when her art was met with silence or criticism, her self-esteem plummeted. It was only when Sarah began to focus on her love for art and the joy it brought her, rather than others' opinions, that she found a lasting sense of self-worth. By detaching her value from external judgments, she regained her confidence and began to create with freedom and passion. Knowing your worth also means rejecting the notion that you need to prove yourself to others to feel valuable. This mindset can often lead to overworking or overgiving in relationships, where people sacrifice their well-being in hopes of being recognized or appreciated. Imagine a man who stays late at the office every day, not because he loves his job, but because he believes that his worth is tied to being perceived as hardworking. Or think of a friend who constantly says yes to every request, even when it drains her energy, because she fears being seen as unkind or unhelpful. These behaviors are rooted in a misguided belief that value must be earned rather than inherently possessed. The truth is, your worth is not dependent on how much you give, how much you achieve, or how others perceive you. It is an unchanging part of who you are, like your fingerprint or your DNA. When you embrace this truth, you liberate yourself from the need for constant external approval. This liberation brings a profound sense of peace and self-assurance. You no longer feel the need to compare yourself to others because you understand that their successes or failures have no bearing on your own value. An essential part of knowing your worth is practicing self-affirmation and self-compassion. It is about speaking kindly to yourself and recognizing your own strengths and accomplishments, even when no one else does. For example, instead of saying, "I failed because I'm not good enough," you can say, "I learned something valuable from this experience, and I'll do better next time." Positive self-talk reinforces the belief that you are deserving of respect, love, and kindness, regardless of external circumstances. Recognizing your worth also empowers you to make better decisions. When you know your value, you stop tolerating disrespect, manipulation, and dishonesty in your relationships. You set higher standards for how you allow others to treat you because you believe you deserve no less. For example, a woman who knows her worth will not stay in a relationship where she is belittled or undervalued. Instead, she will walk away, confident that she deserves a partner who treats her with kindness and respect. As the saying goes, you accept the love you think you deserve. When you know your worth, you raise the bar for what you are willing to accept, and this transforms the quality of your relationships and interactions. In addition to relationships, knowing your worth also impacts how you approach your goals and aspirations. When you believe in your intrinsic value, you are more likely to pursue opportunities that align with your passions and strengths, rather than settling for less out of fear or self-doubt. Consider an entrepreneur who hesitates to pitch her business idea because she fears rejection. If she recognizes her worth, she approaches the opportunity with confidence, understanding that her value does not hinge on the outcome of one meeting. This shift in mindset allows her to take risks and embrace growth, knowing that failure does not define her. True self-worth is a daily practice. It is cultivated through your actions, thoughts, and decisions. Each time you honor your needs, set a boundary, or choose self-care, you reinforce the belief that you are valuable. Over time, this belief becomes a natural part of who you are, shaping how you see yourself and how others see you. People are drawn to those who carry themselves with quiet confidence because it signals strength and self-respect. As Eleanor Roosevelt famously said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." This timeless quote reminds us that self-worth is something we own and protect, regardless of external opinions or circumstances. When you know your worth, you transform your life in profound ways. You stop seeking validation from others and start living authentically. You begin to prioritize your happiness and well-being, creating a life that reflects your values and aspirations. This inner transformation changes the energy you project and attracts relationships, opportunities, and experiences that align with your sense of self-worth. By knowing your worth, you not only improve the way you see yourself, but also inspire others to recognize and respect your value. Boundaries are one of the most profound ways to communicate self-respect and establish how others treat you. They are not walls meant to keep people out, but rather guidelines that define what is acceptable and unacceptable in interactions with others. When you set boundaries, you are essentially saying, "This is what I need to feel respected and valued." Establishing and enforcing boundaries is a vital act of self-love and self-preservation, ensuring that your emotional and mental energy is protected. Many people hesitate to set boundaries because they fear being perceived as rude, unkind, or difficult. This fear often stems from societal conditioning, particularly for women, who are frequently taught to prioritize others' needs over their own. For example, a woman may feel compelled to say yes to every request for help at work, even if it means sacrificing her own time and well-being. She might think, "If I say no, they'll think I'm lazy or uncooperative." However, this mindset often leads to burnout, resentment, and a diminished sense of self-worth. Saying no is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of self-respect. As Brené Brown famously said, Daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves, even when we risk disappointing others. Consider the story of Michael, a dedicated employee who struggled to set boundaries with his boss. Whenever his manager asked him to stay late, Michael always agreed, even when it interfered with his personal life. Over time, this lack of boundaries led to exhaustion and frustration. One day, Michael decided to prioritize his well-being. When his manager asked him to work overtime, he politely but firmly said, "I can't stay late today, as I have prior commitments. I'll ensure the work is completed by tomorrow morning." To his surprise, his boss accepted his response without issue. This moment was a turning point for Michael, showing him that setting boundaries did not diminish his value as an employee, but instead enhanced his ability to manage his time and energy effectively. Boundaries also play a crucial role in relationships. When you fail to set boundaries, you may find yourself constantly giving to others without receiving anything in return. This imbalance can lead to feelings of being taken for granted or unappreciated. For instance, imagine a friend who consistently shows up late to your meetings or cancels plans at the last minute. Without boundaries, you might let this behavior slide, even though it frustrates you. However, by addressing the issue and saying, "I value our time together, and I would appreciate it if we could honor our plans," you communicate that your time and feelings matter. Boundaries like these are not about punishing others, but about fostering mutual respect. Saying no is one of the most powerful tools for enforcing boundaries, yet it is also one of the most challenging. Many people equate saying no with rejection or fear that it will lead to conflict. However, saying no is an essential part of protecting your emotional and mental well-being. For example, imagine being asked to take on additional responsibilities at work when you are already overwhelmed. Politely declining by saying, "I would love to help, but I don't have the capacity to take on more right now," shows that you respect your own limits. It also sends a message to others that you value your time and energy, setting a standard for how you expect to be treated. Boundaries are not just for personal relationships. They are also essential in professional environments. For example, a colleague might frequently interrupt your work to ask for help with their tasks. Without boundaries, you might feel obligated to assist, even if it disrupts your own productivity. By setting a boundary, such as saying, "I'm happy to help after I finish my current project," you establish a clear limit while still offering support. This approach balances your needs with those of others, creating a more respectful and productive environment. One common misconception about boundaries is that they are selfish or push people away. In reality, boundaries create healthier and more fulfilling relationships by clarifying expectations and reducing misunderstandings.